What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to the Onyx Report. Black Masculinist news for the day. Hope everybody is well. Please make sure you like, share, subscribe, join, and donate. Support the channel. And today we're dealing with part 2 of our little series dealing with intimate partner violence in Black men. Just looking at some situations. Now, in the last one, I talked about bidirectionality of abuse in the Black community, and really intimate partner homicide is not a whole lot different, really. You're talking about a couple of hundred women per year and a slightly fewer number of men, maybe about 50 to 75 less depending on the year. But when you calculate that out of a population of 43 million, basically what you have is a dynamic that's at least twofold. On one level, you're more likely, as a colleague said to me years ago, you're more likely to be struck by lightning than killed by an intimate partner. But part 2 to that, or the other side of that, is, the numbers, when you get down to like 250 women and 200 men killed by their intimate partners per year in the Black community, that's a rough number. It depends on the year, of course, but it's really a slightly fewer number of men. And that often may have something to do with what's documented and how it's framed. Because again, I've talked about this before. We talked about proxy homicide, meaning that your wife hired someone to kill you. That's one of the things that I've talked about before. What studies have shown is that wealthier women tend to pay people, when they want to get rid of a spouse. Poor women tend to use sex and emotional manipulation. Either way, when the incident occurs and a man is killed because his wife set somebody else up to do it, it doesn't register as that. It registers as one man killing another. You actually have to catch her in some kind of way in order for her to even be brought into the dynamic. So even that slight number of differences between men and women may be somewhat compensated by proxy violence, proxy homicide. But either way, you're still talking about a couple hundred people per year, male and female, and a slightly fewer number of males. So all in all, the numbers are pretty low when it comes to intimate partner homicide. Abuse, different thing altogether. Still, both are important and both are often not talked about from the Black male perspective. Right? So let's look at a couple of things today. Right? Shout out to my boy Ian Grave. This was sent to me. Right? And as you can see, it's WSBTV.com. Article is entitled "Woman Arrested After Shooting Husband to Death During Fight," police say. Right. Go down a little bit here. May 27th, of course, right? Clayton County, Georgia. Police say a woman shot her husband to death during a fight early Thursday morning. Clayton County police said they were called to a home on River Road in Jonesboro just after midnight. Rhonda Tucker, 35, told dispatchers she had been in a fight with her husband, 34-year-old Brian Tucker, when she accidentally shot him. Accidentally. Okay. Officers found Brian Tucker dead in a bedroom. Detectives interviewed Rhonda Tucker, who then said she and her husband were in a fight and she picked up a gun, followed him into the bedroom, and shot him until he didn't move. Now, for those who are quick to always say that whenever a woman picks up a weapon, it's self-defense, notice the verbiage here. She said she picked up a gun and followed him into the bedroom and shot him until he didn't move. On May 27th, at approximately, I guess that's supposed to be 2 a.m., Clayton County police officers responded to the 300 block of River Road. Tucker is in custody and has been charged with malice, murder, aggravated assault, and possession of a weapon during commission of a crime. Now, again, when Black men are not perceived as human beings, let alone men, when their role in a relationship is framed around service to her, simply because they are lesser beings. And one of the things you'll find as a justification for murder in our community when it comes to men on behalf of women is whatever he did to upset her. This is why one of the first questions you'll get when these incidents hit is, what did he do? Right? How did he upset her? Did he cheat on her? And somehow, as I've said before, infidelity is considered a justifiable crime. You know how you know that? When you listen to people justify his death with even the merest, the faintest possibility of infidelity. But does that, that excuse, and this is how you know it's an illusion, right? Because if a woman's infidelity was reason and cause, acceptably speaking, like if this was an acceptable thing that she be killed because she cheated on her husband, we would see it on equal sides, but we don't. Really what we see, and this is why we talk about a gynocracy in the Black community, is whether he kills her or she kills him, she is justified either way. Either he did something to upset her to justify her killing him, or he killed her and it was unfair and she shouldn't have had to die at the hands of this man, regardless of what she's done. Now, I'm not saying I justify anybody being killed one way or the other, but I find the one-way justification highly problematic, right? And what it speaks to is a narrative about Black men where you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. And it's leading many Black men to question what the worth of it all is. Right? What is it worth? Let's look at another situation. This was something that was sent to me on Twitter, right? And this was a post by somebody who titles himself respectfully Justin, or, and he asked the question, what's the wildest thing y'all ever threw at your man while arguing? Let's look at some of the responses here, right? I'm just going to read a few of them. I wasn't really a thrower of objects. I threw these hands. One time tried to run him over with my car. One time tried to smother him with a pillow. Not my proudest moments. This was like 15 years ago. We've moved past it. I learned to keep my hands to myself. We're married now. Word. Okay. And my boy DJ Golden here says it properly. Imagine men detailing their abuse of women so proudly. Women would be outraged and on a cancel train out for your head. This is some wild double standard energy. Absolutely. But let's keep going. In response to the question, remember, again, the question is, what's the wildest thing you ever threw at your man while arguing? We have right here, a rock. Had that forehead leaking come cover my eyes from the back while I was driving. I hate him. Boiling water and bleach. Right? Now, of course, people can be joking and exaggerating, but let's see. See, here's the thing. Even if they were joking and this was all exaggeration, the fact that it's considered funny and it's applauded by other women is all kinds of revealing, right? Because if like DJ Golden said, if this was a stream of men even joking about the kind of abuse they've committed toward women and celebrating it and laughing at it, it would be a whole different response, right? So here we go. Here's another one. I was a little crazy. This was the woman who threw the hot water and bleach. See, what had happened was we got into an argument while I was cooking. He squirted mustard on me. I threw hot sauce on him. He threw water at me. I took some boiling water, was using for pasta, and I threw it at him. Right? The response from someone else was, you threw boiling water at someone? I wouldn't even do that to my worst enemy. Right? And then she says, it was just a little bit. He dodged most of it. That's justification, right? He dodged it. Let's see. Another person said they threw a booger on somebody, whatever. Somebody said PlayStation remote since he thought it was a game. Another said, I never threw anything at my ex because I'm an adult and I can use my words. If I start to get violent, then we walk away. Grow up. Shout out to her. Absolutely. Throwing my ex, used to try and stab me. Okay, so this woman is saying she was abused. Let's see here. This woman says she threw his insecurities at him. She says, I hate that I did that. He still won't forgive me. I should have thrown the hot comb I was using instead. Right. Another one says she threw a satellite dish at him, busted him all in the back of his head. Right. Another one says a laptop, a wedding cake topper, and a plate of crab legs. Another says a butcher knife. One says, well, technically, I didn't throw, but I did hit him with my car. And that's followed up with another woman who says, they can make you do crazy stuff, sis. It's called temporary insanity. All kinds of laughs and jokes and high fives. Fists, right? Fist bumps. Let's see. So another one says she threw words at him. and like why his sex game was whack, and why others do it better. She says that's why I'm single. Let's see. Another says, I threw not a sharp knife, but I warned him beforehand. Right? That's a justification. Another one says a baby pamper. Another one says a microwave. Right? Okay, let's see. This is one woman talking about she didn't throw it at a man, but she threw a glass vase full of roses and a dining room chair at another woman. This one says, he was my man, but not my man. You know how it was. You know how it was. We were arguing in the middle of chemistry, and I ended up throwing goggles at him, a beaker, and a chair. Another says, I threw the venom of a tongue. You know, I be out of pocket, nobody's safe. A little joking emoji. I threw him out of my apartment, changed the locks. Another applauds her, queen shit, baby. Keep it going. Queens. This is what queens do, right? She said I threw his dog and we were outside in the hallway. So one woman threw a dog. Another says there's a there's a respectful way to abuse someone. Interesting. All right. Let's see. Get some of this out of the way. Another says spaghetti noodles off the stove, the pot, the water, the noodles. He didn't want that for dinner. Another says patio furniture and a frozen turkey the same night. Another says my foot at the back of his head. Another says an Xbox remote. This is all funny. This is all jokes and games, right? You know. Let's see. Another says my old Nokia 3310 phone at his head. Another says a few lotion bottles. I'm waiting for the day I can use this bad boy. So she's waiting for the day she can throw something at somebody. Another says hit a dude with my car and threw one of those cube things at him down some steps, like the furniture cube with 9 cubes. It broke in his back. Bet he won't spit on nobody else. So when I talk about bidirectionality, this is what it means. One person does something to the other one does something to the other, and of course this escalates. This is not a situation where you have, just women just being abused out of nowhere, which is the most popular narrative. Women are definitely participating and more than likely initiating the physical violence even after an argument ensues, and that's two different things: a verbal argument and a physical response. Those are not the same, and we bleed them together in a particular kind of way, but they're not. If you're having a verbal back and forth and one person escalates it to the physical, the verbal part doesn't count as intimate partner violence. Let's see. One says cinnamon basil sazon from his father's cabinet as soon as dinner was done cooking. Another says a hot Pepsi can. He ducked because that could have really hurt him. So thank God it didn't hit him. It hit the wall and exploded everywhere. Another says a coconut. Another talks about her Aries attitude and she's applauded quickly by another woman. Another one says he threw a diaper at her, and she laughs about that. Let's see. Another says a quesadilla hot off the stove. Right? If you know anything about hot food, whether it be grits or hot cheese, those things can burn quite a bit. Another says a Corona bottle, a snow globe from another. Another talks about how she didn't do it to her man, but to her teenage boy child, she threw a loaf of Jamaican hard dough bread. Let's see. Another one says an iPod, and a hairbrush, because I definitely nailed him in the face with it. I was mad. Laughing emoji. Another one says she threw some old issues from 3 years ago. Right. A coat rack that was big and heavy. An ashtray, cups of water, drinks, books, small stuff. That's all, right? Because an ashtray doesn't hurt, or books. Right? A Swifter, a jar of lotion, these hands, money, smacked him in the face with money, and some shoes, a car seat with a base attached, according to one person. My left-handed self threw a right hook right to the kisser. All kinds of jokes. One says a dildo. And she says he got mad not because I threw it, but because it was bigger than his Johnson, right? Can of tomato sauce. Folded him like a notebook paper. Laughing emoji. Not at him, but I threw a speaker at his TV because he wouldn't stop arguing, but I guess blessing in disguise, he bought a 60-inch curve afterwards. 2 laughing emojis. The car, I ran him over. And y'all know I showed a video of a woman running over a man a couple months ago. She said, one says our child, another says his phone, one of those heavy candles from Target, a pan, a coffee maker thing, like the ones that are iron made and with hot coffee in it. A deflated Queen Air mattress. His cup, flicked that and the liquid inside it at him. Like, F you, boy. My words get him so mad he got to leave the room. And these women are proud of this, right? A milk crate, mega boom speakers with both of them. Neither one of them missed the mark. Bowl of cereal. I've thrown him and hit him with everything, to be honest. Table lamp, antique lamp, mason jar, beer bottle, phone, because he was texting other girls. See, there goes that justification. Everything's cool because there must have been some infidelity, therefore it's justified. This is what happens when you have a culture that's defined around feelings, because then any justification holds if it made you feel bad, but not if it made men feel bad. Only if it makes women feel bad, then it's justified. Almost no matter what it was. I've seen reports. I've seen comments in my videos and on my my social media posts where men have died or been burned alive, and other women will excuse it if there's a notion of infidelity. One says a straightening iron. Another says a fork. I was eating, but it was plastic. Okay. A plate of spaghetti, a sangria bottle, a son's sippy cup, a vase. It says he lucky he kept his eye. See, this is some Klingon shit. This is ridiculous. A space heater. My phone hit him in the mouth. This one says, I ain't throw nothing, but bit a chunk out of his bottom lip. This woman bit a chunk out of this man's bottom lip. Can of spaghetti, air freshener with hangers, our son, my flat iron, my speaker and a computer. A bag of chips got dumped on him and his brother's head, the iron, my hair wand, anything I catch, a knife, these hands, bag of clothes on fire. Coffee mug, a tub of cocoa butter, my car, his side view mirror, a solid can of string beans, milk, ironing board, skateboard, phone and my hands, his Xbox, a knife, hanger to the head, laptop from the 4th floor, a mug, a lit candle, an empty whiskey bottle, my vanity chair, a car door, iron and ironing board, a lamp, a brick at his car window, iron and some red bottom shoes, a steak knife, these hands. How many times we keep seeing these hands? See, there's pride in it because it's a masculine trait to square up and box with a man, right? So at the end of the day, there's pride in this, but this pride is rooted in an assumption, a cultural assumption, and at this point, that men are not going to hit back. In other words, most men may respond out of self-defense. There's a small population of men that will initiate and engage in just pure violence, but for the most part, most men are not going to respond. And more than anything, they're not going to respond to these women like they would another man. That's the biggest thing. They're not going to respond to these women as if they were dealing with another man. So these women are very comfortable being violent. They take pride in it because they haven't had to see an equal response since the 1950s and 60s. So in terms of policy, what we've used to justify protecting women has become something that has entitled many women. And it's entitled them to initiate violence with the assumption that they won't be responded to. And the interesting contradiction are the men that don't mind going to jail and have no problem being violent to a woman. Those men tend not to be the ones that get this kind of treatment. Women know which men they can do this with and which men they can't. And the man that doesn't care about going to jail does not get this kind of treatment more often than not. If she knows there's a possibility he's going to treat her the way he would treat another man doing this to him, she often won't do it. They do this with men who won't respond in such manner. And many of those men don't want to go to jail. Many of those men do not want to risk the careers, the education, the sacrifices they've made to get to where they are. So they don't respond. And these women have gotten very comfortable. Look at another one. An iron, his bong, bleach, Jack Daniels bottle, baby food, mailbox, car, knife, hotel lamp, car, hands, a bar of soap, airplane, candle, milkshake, PlayStation, microwave, ironing board, car, these hands again, see, edge control, hands, perfume bottle, phone, wine bottle, water, scissors, hair clippers, bike, cast iron skillet, fist, hands, scissors, table, Xbox, wig, hands, spit, yogurt, skillet, Hennessy bottle, TV, hands. A lot of pride in them hands, I told you. The more they can act like men without being responded to like men, they take pride in it as a source of power, as a demonstration of strength. It's not a demonstration of strength at all. If anything, it's a demonstration of the strength you have in policy that works to your advantage. That's all that really is. What really, it's only when men respond as if they're dealing with another man that's when this behavior becomes, apparent to many of these women. But most men, again, don't. And we've learned not to. Over the last 30 to 40 years, we've learned not to. We've seen men go to jail. We've seen stories about it. We've seen stories about men going to jail. We've had mothers and grandmothers tell us not to do this, even since we were in elementary school. Never hit a girl, even when y'all are the same strength and she's hitting you, right? And when you're 5 years old and you hit her back, and you'll have elders, females mostly, will pull you to the side with animosity and tell you never strike a woman. There's never any reason. But nobody says anything to women that initiate this. And nobody really regards what impact this kind of policy has over decades. How does this change the behavior of a whole gender demographic when they know they are not going to be held accountable for their initiating violence? And how does it impact the men? Many men, I should say, won't even report it. Why? Because it's an accepted abuse. So we talk about women not reporting. This has been one of the popular narratives since at least the 1980s, or 70s. Women won't report it because they won't be believed. No, men won't report it because they won't be believed. A Yankee Candle, our kid, right? These are the kind of stories I'm talking about. Yeah. This is the culture we live in. This is some Klingon mess, but at the end of the day, This is a product of entitling women with a policy that was supposed to protect them. The problem wasn't that the policy was put in place to protect women. The problem was that it was envisioned as a protection women needed from men rather than a protection people needed from each other. See, feminists completely disregarded women's behavior. They used in a very political manner the narrative that women were inherently innocent. They pulled from that Victorian era of womanhood, and that was their identification of femininity in the dynamic of abuse altogether. And so once they pulled from that and made that the central structure, that was the paradigm, then men, of course, had to be the aggressors, because the Victorian woman, who's inherently pure, doesn't initiate violence. So as opposed to looking at the data about how people really act, feminists pulled from an abstract concept of womanhood, and they grounded policy in an abstract concept, which provided a degree of entitlement that meant that one group, women and girls, were inherently innocent and victims. Men and boys had to be the aggressors. And even when it appeared men and boys were victims, they were the aggressors on the back end because they were part of a system of patriarchy that further oppressed women and girls. And so now what you have is a culture. And that's really what I'm showing you with this long Facebook post. Twitter post. This is a culture of celebration. Abuse initiated by women is considered strength. It's considered empowerment, because women couldn't talk like this 30, 40 years ago. But we still sidestep the egregiousness of all of this. And many of these people are oblivious to the abusive nature of it. And the reason they're oblivious, they don't have to go to jail for it. Even when women are arrested for some of the most egregious crimes, they'll get a slap on the hand and be right back on the street before the man is even healed. This is the dynamic we're living in. So I want you brothers to be aware, more than anything, how easy this is to find yourself in the midst of. Keep your head on a swivel. Make sure that you get evidence, record everything. And yeah, we need to be more litigious. Take people to court. Call the police and show in the video you didn't do anything, and make sure it's visible. Any kind of impact to your body, document it, record it, take pictures of it, go to the hospital. We have got to take this seriously, and we have to start using the law on our behalf. And that's men across race, because this doesn't stop otherwise. And the only other way it stops is if men start to treat these women as men. But problem with that is you may have taught her a lesson, you end up in jail. It's not really worth it, especially if you have kids. But either way, my point is, let's be intelligent people. This is chess. Let's play it like chess. Use the law, which is written in a gender neutral language, to your benefit. Get evidence, stay at a distance, and be serious. But care enough about yourself to initiate the institutions, like to initiate connecting and responding to these institutions and using them for your benefit, not abusively, not manipulatively. I'm talking to men who are victims on one level or another. And I know in the manosphere we don't like that term, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. Right? So use it and be strategic about it, fellas. Because life's too short for this mess. Peace. What?